Hey everyone, Connie here, and yeah, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, this is a different video than what you normally get, and I might make another video about it, but I'm just gonna also say there is not gonna be any Hilda today. I don't know if I'll get any Hilda out tomorrow, but there's not gonna be any today, for sure. And reason for that is basically just a bunch of other stuff I've had on my mind today, a bunch of other stuff I've been trying to figure out. So I did want to put up something today, though. So I'm putting this up. So what is this video? As you can see by the title, this is cartoons from my past, and would I react to them if I hadn't already seen them, basically. um, the titles, I actually haven't obviously figured out exactly what the title's going to be yet, but it's probably going to be like, would I react to these cartoons today, or something like that. That actually sounds good, you know? And yeah, basically what this is these are cartoons from my childhood. Cartoons I grew up watching to some degree. Whether it's I watched every episode, or I watched it whenever I could, or even just watched it whenever it just happened to be on. These are cartoons that I grew up with, in one way or another. And I'm going to base this, basically, this isn't like a countdown list or anything, so it's not in any order or whatnot. But it's basically, I'm going to show you a show from a cartoon from my past, and I'm going to explain what I originally thought of it, what I think about it now, and then would I I'm going to say what I originally thought about, and then would I react to it now, which kind of blends into like what I think of it now and everything. Would I end up reacting to it now if I hadn't already seen it? And what would how far along would I get with it during a reaction? You get the main idea. So we're just going to get this started because I don't want this to be too long, though it probably is going to be quite long. I'll tell you that off the bat. This is probably going to be a longer video, but let's get going. So first up, we have The Proud Family. This was a Disney cartoon that I really enjoyed growing up. I thought it was really fun. I was really into the characters. Oscar is hilarious. The grandmother is fantastic. And I just really loved Penny. Like, I don't even really fully know why, but I just really loved Penny as a character. I just really connected, you know? Something like that. So the question is, if I had never seen it before, would this be something I would react to today? And the question is, I would give it a shot. I would give it a shot today. I would check it out for sure. Because it definitely, just even from any perspective, really, it seems interesting. It has a really interesting concept. It's a family-based show, and a lot of cartoons do that kind of thing, with having the wacky family doing wacky things. But it's like, it would definitely catch my attention enough to want to check it out. How far would I get? I can't say. I don't remember all the episodes and how, like, much I liked each episode and everything. Now, I don't even know if I ended up seeing every episode of this. This was one of those that I did watch whenever I noticed it was on, basically. So as to how far I would get into it nowadays if I did react to it, which, as again, I already said, if I hadn't seen it already, I probably would check it out. I don't know. I don't know how far I would probably end up getting. So next up, we have Courage the Cowardly Dog. This was definitely one of my favorites growing up. I love the horror-themed just aspect to the show and how everything kind of connected to that. I love how it went into some really dark topics. And I just love the characters. From Courage and his anxious self to Muriel, who's just like the most wholesome grandmother type character out there, and then Eustace, who's like the complete opposite in every way. And just all the different villains, like Cats, the Goose God, The giant foot. So many great villains, and just even side characters too, like Eustace's mom and Madame Shirley. It's so memorable, and of course you can't forget Freaky Fred or King Ramses. Yeah, would I react to it today? Oh, definitely. I've talked about in the past how I love horror themes in shows, especially shows that don't normally contain them. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't be against seeing a show that is focused around a horror theme. And I would be completely up for it. As for how far I'd get into it, oh, I would likely watch the entire thing. Because even looking back on it now, I can't think of an episode I really thought was bad. There are episodes I liked less than others, but none of them I would call bad. I actually really like pretty much the entire show. So this is definitely one that, I mean, deserves that Hall of... I always mess that up. That Hall of Fame listing on that DVD case, you know? Next up, though, we have Recess. And sorry that some of these are, like, all scrunched up and something. And all. It's just from the window I'm using and all. Recess, another Disney cartoon that I grew up watching. Obviously, all of these I grew up watching to some degree, as I said. Recess is about a bunch of elementary school kids who hang out at recess and get into shenanigans, basically. When I was growing up, I loved this series. I loved the different personalities and archetypes of the characters, but how they all came together despite their differences. I loved the diversity of them. Like, you could see just, not only, again, just from what they're into and stuff, but you have a black character, you have Spinelli, who I'm not entirely sure, like, ethnically what she's supposed to be. I've never actually understood that, you know? Because she almost looks like she might be Hispanic a little bit, but it's hard to tell in a lot of these cartoons unless it's, like, really obviously done, and I don't know. But yeah, it's just, I've always loved these characters and just how diverse they could be. The stories, the villains, you could say, with the principal and the one teacher. I cannot remember names right now. I remember TJ's name. I remember TJ Detweiler. I know Ashley Spinelli, Gretchen, Mikey, and that's about it. There's the old woman, the one teacher who's like one of the worst ones and all. She's like really mean and everything, and there's also that one like super feminist teacher. And there was the like ratty looking guy who the kid who was like always like literally ratting them out. I don't remember all their names, and it sucks. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's like I always loved it. I loved the movie that came out for it. It was great. So would I react to this today? I would check it out for sure because of just the diversity alone, as well as if I knew ahead of time, especially about the kinds of messages it can teach and stuff with like different characters, like Spinelli especially. There's some good messages that are taught through Spinelli. If I knew about stuff like that, then yeah, I would definitely check it out for sure. If I didn't, it's kind of a toss-up. It's probably, if I didn't know about that stuff ahead of time, it'd probably be one of those shows that I'd only check out if it was suggested to me. As for how far I'd get into it, I'm not entirely sure. There's a lot of episodes I remember that weren't as great, and a lot of elements to it that were a little ridiculous. Like, I think there was this like group of kindergartners who were basically tribal, and it was silly. It was really silly. But I would definitely give it a shot at least. Again, if I hadn't seen it already. Next up, we have SpongeBob, and I'm gonna preface this right away by saying, by noting how the creator of SpongeBob had just passed away, and keep in mind that anything I say about the show does not reflect on the people, and this goes for anything I talk about, does not reflect on the people who made it. It's just my opinions on these shows, and while I may personally not like SpongeBob, and I've talked about this in the past, I won't argue that it's changed cartoons in a lot of ways. And it's definitely left its mark on the animation industry. And the creator, I can't think of his name right now, but his passing is extremely sad. So don't think. So I'm prefacing this by saying that I mean no offense to any specific people when I say that I didn't like SpongeBob at all. And the thing is, I grew up watching it, and I watched a lot of it. And the thing is, I never knew why. Even back then, I didn't know why I was watching it because I never liked it. I never found it funny. I never found the characters likable, like almost at all. I think there was one character I ever found likable, and that was Mermaid Man. All the other characters I hated. There's almost no good humor. It was pretty much non-existent. It tried to be clever and funny with its references, but it just ended up feeling extremely forced and fake. It didn't come across as natural. And a lot of it just felt wrong to me. A lot of it just did not work in any way. Now, again, if I had not seen it before, would I check it out today? Honestly, this is one of those I can say I honestly don't know. Whether it would be my choice or if someone suggested it to me, I don't know if I would check it out. Because, again, if I didn't know about it, if I hadn't seen it before, I don't know what my thoughts would be. Because all my thoughts on this show are based strictly on my dislike for it, based on having seen it. And while I admit I haven't seen a lot of the newer stuff, I've still seen bits of it. I've still seen clips. I've seen a couple episodes here and there. And it's still bad. And there's like, I can count on one hand the amount of good episodes in this entire show. Seriously. And I won't even complete that one hand. So I don't know if I would check it out. But if I did, I could probably guarantee you I would not get that far into it before dropping it. So after that, we have Batman the Animated Series. This is one of the first superhero shows I watched growing up. I think the only thing I watched before Batman the Animated Series was a couple Spider-Man things. Spider-Man is definitely what kick-started my interest in superheroes. Batman is what made me fall in love with the genre. And I grew up loving the series. I grew up just adoring the characters, from the Joker to Harley Quinn to Baby Doll to Killer Croc, the Penguin, Poison Ivy, all of them. And I really just loved how they were portrayed as, like, people. They always felt realistic, despite the extraordinary circumstances they were put into. And that's one of the reasons I loved it so much. So would I watch this today? Oh, without a doubt. Even if I had never seen this before, even if I wasn't huge into Batman, I'd most likely still be huge into superheroes. And I'd still be willing to check this out. There's a lot of superhero shows currently on my list for the future that I want to check out. So, yeah, this would definitely be one I would check out. And honestly, I would probably watch this to the end. This is a show that, again, I don't think there were any really bad episodes. There are some episodes, like I said before with other shows, that were not as good as the best ones out there. But for sure, I don't think there's any that I would really say were outright bad. After that, we have Danny Phantom. The internet's overhyped love. When I grew up watching Danny Phantom, it was just kind of one of those shows that I watched because it was on. It was alright. I didn't hate any of the characters, but I didn't love any of them. And I didn't really get into the stories that much. apart from a few notable exceptions, such as the stuff with Ember. Um, would I watch this today? Probably not. And I'm saying that because, honestly, the concept isn't my kind of thing. Like, the idea of this teenage boy accidentally being turned into half ghost and whatnot, or being able to turn into a ghost basically at will, it's like that's not really my thing. It's really silly, and it's more science fiction-y than I honestly like. I'm not a huge science fiction fan. Only certain things in the science fiction realm are my kind of thing. Stuff like Steins Gate or Star Wars or whatnot. Admittedly, some big things. But all in all, I'm not huge into science fiction, and this kind of science fiction, not really my thing. After that, we have the Angry Beavers. Do you even remember this show? Like, this show is like... I've actually asked people that before, and it's like a lot of people don't even seem to remember it. The Angry Beavers was a show, I believe it was on Nickelodeon, and it was about these two brothers, Norbert and Dagbert, or I think that was it. I think it was Norbert and Dagbert. It's been a long time. But they always got into fights, they always got into shenanigans, messed around with each other, got on each other's nerves, and were just overall wacky. This was another one of those shows that I just kind of watched whenever it was on, and there was really nothing else I could figure out to do. But it got some laughs out of me, and it was fun. I never really saw it, like, on a consistent basis, though, so who knows how many episodes I missed. Would I watch it today if it were on? Like, if I just saw a trailer or one clip, would I check it out? Yeah, I would check it out. I would give it a watch, see what it's like. I probably wouldn't watch the entire thing. If I started reacting to it today, I probably wouldn't go through the entire thing. It's not one of those shows that I think would be super great for reactions, for me personally at least. But I mean, hey, at least it has a kick-ass theme song. Either way, we move on to Invader Zim. Okay, so Invader Zim was one of those shows that I had seen all the episodes to. I had seen all I had to offer, and it's kind of one of those things like SpongeBob. Really popular, and I hated it. I found Zim to be extremely unlikable. In fact, pretty much everyone was. Gurr was excessively annoying. Like, not even lovably annoying. Just extremely unlikably annoying. The only character that was even, like, interesting in any way was the one goth girl, who I think was the sister of, I want to say his name was Dib? The little scientist boy who was always going at it with Zim. Yeah, it's just, this was extremely annoying and everything for me. I didn't like the stories it tried to tell. I didn't like the constant back and forth between Dib and Zim. I didn't like the concept that everyone thought Zim was somehow human and was falling for the tricks he was enacting to fake his human personality. And the fact that Dib was always the one who saw through it and the only one who saw through it, I never liked that. Would I check it out today? I probably would. Funny enough, if I had not seen it before and if I knew nothing about it, I would probably check it out. But I probably wouldn't get too far because I doubt that it would change that much. I doubt I would still... I doubt I wouldn't still find it extremely annoying and unlikable. So, yeah. And Johnny Bravo is next up. Okay, so, Johnny Bravo, one of those shows that made me laugh a lot when I was younger. It was one that I actively watched, that I actually, like, would tune in specifically to watch and stuff instead of just checking out whenever it's on. I would actually, like, go out of my way to watch it. back in the days of VHS, there were times I'd actually record episodes, no joke. Um, and I enjoyed it. And here's the thing, would I watch it today? And the thing is, I would watch it today, but I wouldn't react to it. And here's the reason, because seeing any kind of promotional stuff and seeing the way Johnny like acts and treats women and stuff would piss me off. It would be a show that, but I would also see the fact that he always gets his comeuppance. He always gets punished for the way he acts. So it would interest me enough to check it out, but not enough to react to it. Because I would want to see him get, you know, hit and stuff, slapped, thrown around and stuff for the way he treats women. Because I'll be honest, Johnny Bravo is a sick, misogynistic pig. He is. And I don't know like what the creators of the show were thinking. I mean, back in those days when this show was made and all, and when it came out, people weren't as like, I guess the best term to use would be awake to this kind of stuff. They weren't. It wasn't as obvious at how bad this kind of shit is. But again, I mean, at least I can say that they painted it as a bad thing. I mean, this guy basically is a bum. He lives. I mean, he lives with his mother and can't make anything out of his life because he's a pig. He's sick. And it shows that he's not like being rewarded for it, like ever. So I have to give it that much credit. At least it shows that what he's doing is wrong. But still, it's like, it's one of those shows that would annoy me a lot to watch because I would just get pissed off at him. Even though he gets his comeuppance, I would still be pissed off. So it's one I would watch but not react to. Kim Possible. This was one of the first like action spy kind of things I was ever into, even before James Bond. I loved the dynamics between certain character duos, such as the dynamic between Kim and Ron, the dynamic of Kim and Bonnie even, Shigo and Draken, so on and so forth. I love a lot of the different villains, like the monkey guy, whose name I cannot think of. Senor Senior Jr. was great, and definitely metrosexual. But seriously, it was just really fun. And I've seen episodes and clips and stuff in more current day, and it still holds up. So would I react to it in the current day? I would definitely check it out. Like, from my current sensibilities of my extreme enjoyment of strong female characters, this is a show for me. I'm between Kim and Shigo alone. Plus, the show blends humor and action in a really great way that a few shows have been able to really do. It really handles it well. The characters feel like just real teenage characters. They never come across as feeling like they're just too mature or too immature. They feel their age. Like, this is how teenagers are. To a degree. A lot, like, I've been in multiple high school, I was in multiple high schools growing up, and all of these different shows and cartoons and stuff exaggerate teenagers to some degree. Teenagers aren't as classist as you would think. Like, teenagers aren't as separated into like different social classes, like jocks and nerds and stuff. They're not. That doesn't happen. And teenagers aren't complete assholes either. Like you see in a lot of media, they're not just complete assholes who will like just attack each other, like mess with each other, throw each other into lockers, trip each other in the halls and stuff. That doesn't happen. That's like that's all the media. That's all cartoons and TV shows and stuff. At least it's never happened at any of the 4 different high schools I went to. Either way, would I react to Kim Possible nowadays? As I said, yes, very much so. Not even a question. It definitely appeals to my kind of humor, my kind of characters, all of that, my kind of storytelling, everything that I'm really into. How far would I get? I can't say for sure, but probably pretty far. I'd be willing to go far into this series. Because again, I mean, there are definitely episodes I was less fond of, but nothing I would really outright say would be bad. At least not that I can remember off the top of my head. After that, we have the Powerpuff Girls, the original Powerpuff Girls, not the reboot. I'm just not even gonna talk about the reboot. So the original Powerpuff Girls I grew up watching, and this is another one that I watched very actively. In fact, there were certain episodes that I would watch pretty much on repeat over and over again. There's this one episode that actually gave me nightmares, and yet I couldn't stop watching because I loved it so much. It was the Abracadabra episode, where it had the zombie magician and all. That episode frightened the hell out of me as a kid. But I loved it so much. I loved the designs. I loved just everything about it. The magic that was shown in it. Honestly, that episode of Powerpuff Girls is what started my love for magic performance. That got me into stuff eventually down the line, like Chris Angel, Penn and Teller, all of those big magicians out there. Those are just a couple examples I'm naming off the bat. There are a lot more. And it's like, it just fascinated me. And there's a lot more phenomenal episodes as well, such as the one where they run forward in time accidentally because they go so fast and the world literally goes to hell because it's taken over by him in their absence. That episode was fucking dark. And not just color palette wise. Like, shit. But the show had so many fantastic ideas. It did so many great things with its characters and villains. And it just had this identity that, like Kim Possible, had a brilliant blend of both comedy and action. And there's a video that Hot Diggity Demon does on YouTube. It's one of his brain dump videos. I think it's actually uploaded on another channel now, though, because it was deleted off of his channel for copyright reasons. But he explains in it why it was such an amazing series, why it's his favorite series of all time. And the video also talks a lot about the 2016 series and how it's shit, but still. Would I react to it today? Oh, without doubt. And I'd probably watch all of it. Without doubt. It's definitely, like Kim Possible, one of those shows that just appeals to me endlessly. Fairly Odd Parents. From Butch Hartman, creator of Danny Phantom as well, among various other things. So Fairly Odd Parents, I grew up, I actually really loved the show growing up. I thought it was funny, I thought it was clever, I really just got a kick out of characters like Cosmo and Jorgen von Strangle and Wandissimo. I just really found it funny as hell. And, oh, the Chip Skylark stuff. My Shiny Teeth and Me, hell yeah. I just really got a kick out of it. And the show is still going, and it's really, really gone down. Honestly, I think it started going downhill when Poof was introduced. But the question is, would I react to it today if I hadn't seen any of it and stuff? And it's like, yeah, I probably would. Would I get too far into it? I'd probably get as far into it as I actually did get. Basically, once Poof was introduced, I started losing interest because the show started going downhill in terms of its writing, its humor, its characters. And honestly, that's probably the point I would stop being interested in reacting to it as well. So, yeah, not much would really change there. And that's it. So that is different cartoons from my past that I watched growing up. and what I think of them, what I thought of them growing up, and would I react to them now and stuff. If you have any other ideas of cartoons that you think I might have seen in the past or whatnot, cartoons from like the 90s and 2000, early 2000s and whatnot, please leave them in the comments below, and maybe I'll do another one of these videos sometime. But in the meantime, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of all the shows I mentioned here, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.